You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion and be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to GetLVILASIK.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your LASIK journey.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road. And with that, welcome everyone to another episode of He Said, She Said. That was a special request for a beloved member of our chat.
The funny thing.
I am Aggie, and with me, as usual, is our awesome producer, Rick. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing better now, thank you. Funny thing is, creepy side note, so because our chat guru has done a funny thing to my girlfriend's name in the chat room, I was looking for the scene from Wizard of Oz where they're singing that, and when I told Aggie what I was looking for, she's like, oh, I can do that. I'm like, holy crap, that was creepy. You gotta do that now.
Yeah, I actually did 5 voices for our high school production of Wizard of Oz because nobody could do that much good voices. So I did both the Lollipop Guild and the Lullaby Guild, and I think I did the mayor too, if I remember correctly. And yes, I portrayed the witch and somebody else, another one of the voices as well. But that was. I had to do that. I hope Zelda doesn't kill me.
She's vacillating between laughing and crying right now, so I'm not sure where we're gonna land yet, but we'll find out soon enough, I guess.
Anyway, so how's everything going with you?
That's going. Got some of the new equipment set up. I have my nice shiny new board sitting over here looking at me all pretty, but it can't talk to the computer yet. My son took pity on me and ordered the piece that I need, and it got here this evening. But I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with that till I don't have shows to do. So it will probably get dealt with sometime tomorrow or Sunday. But yeah, so the mic's working, although it's weird because with the old board and the new mic, I have to have everything maxed out for anybody to be able to hear me. So I really need to probably change it out pretty quick because I don't know how long it's gonna hold out doing that.
So it sounds fine to me, but I'm not very picky. I'm not.
Oh no, everybody yesterday, because yesterday was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Was the first day that I used it, I think. So no, day before. But whatever day it was that I used it the first day, they were like, oh my god, that sounds so much better. And I'm like, yeah, it would sound even better if the board was actually working.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad that you got a new board and you're all excited to set it up and everything. Should be fun.
Yeah, it's been interesting. This one's got all kinds of fancy new gadgets and gizmos, so.
Yeah, it's like everything's going over my head because I'm just not a tech wizard. I'm not a tech person at all. I'm lucky to get my emails.
Well, I mean, there's other
hit Skype.
There's other reasons things go over your head, but that's another.
Okay, this is not Roast Aggie time.
Wait, I thought it was always Roast Aggie time. I thought that was part of my co-host requirements. I mean, that's what Brad sent me in an email, so you got to talk to him.
I swear to God, I'm going to flay him if he did. He's usually very kind, but that's just if I'm around. If I'm not around, who knows? Nah, he's a cool guy. He's really fun.
Oh.
Huh.
So what's new with you?
With me, let's see. Well, I ran a bunch of errands for my dad today, so that was very productive. Changed out, air filter thing. Did some grocery shopping. I made pastina for lunch, and apparently he'd never had that, but he's a very big fan of it now. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to teach Mom how to do that. And I don't think you can teach an old dog new tricks, but we'll see what happens. I know I'm making a batch, and I'm going to put it in individual containers and put it in the freezer so that Mom doesn't have to deal with, having to make it. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to come down to. But outside of that, well, I managed to find an estate sale out here. Estate sales up in North Texas, you get 15 every week. It's not an issue of whether there will be one. It's which one you're going to pick to go to. Down here, maybe once maybe one every 2 weeks. So I was like, out of, curiosity, I hit it up, and sure enough, there was one this week. So I went over there and I scored 2 mid-century modern lamps, and I was very excited about that. And everybody was like, why do you want old lamps? And I'm like, because I'm an old-fashioned person. I need these lamps in my life. Never mind that I have 17 others in my garage. I just need these. But that was the highlight of my day. Scoring 2 lamps. No, they did not have shades, by the way. It's just the lamp bases. But I have the shades at home because every time I go to Goodwill, I'll find an old shade, lampshade, and I'll buy it because it's like $1 or $2. And I have plenty of lamps, so I did that. Anyway, so that was it. That was my day. It's pretty placid here. I mean, my dad is very cool. He's chill, low maintenance type of guy, and so it's not a big deal. But when I have to run errands, I'd like to run them all at the same time because it's very hot outside. I was out there. It was 103. I was dying. But other than that, it was pretty cool. Inside the house, not outside.
Well, at least there's that. I can stay inside when it's 100 degrees and it doesn't affect me.
I'm telling you, man, I already got ready for bed. So I took my shower and everything. My shower was on cold. It was that hot outside. To where the air conditioner was not even making a dent on how warm I was. So I just said, screw it, it's a cold shower. A cold shower tonight. And it wasn't until I started feeling the chill that I was like, okay, I'm done. And, so. But now I'm back to normal. Everything's cool. Literally and figuratively.
No more hot flash Aggie. Woohoo!
Well, no, I never said that. I still get those.
Yeah.
Thank you, menopause.
I just meant for the moment.
Anyway.
I just meant for the moment. I wasn't. Anyway.
Oh, man. So our prayers go out to her, Andrew. Joanne Mason had ulcer surgery today. For those of you who follow Joanne, please keep her in your good thoughts and prayers. She's, I'm sure she will heal very nicely and very quickly.
I hope so.
She's got quite the. She's not a lover of tacos for some reason. I don't understand this.
Who doesn't love tacos?
I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, we're hoping and praying she heals quickly and is comfortable at home. Anyway, well, tonight we have a fun topic to talk about, considering that it was inspired by you, something that you posted this morning. And the topic is friendship.
Yep, now I have the Wonder Years theme in my head. The original good Wonder Years, not the crappy new one.
I've not even given. I knew there was one, but I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. I'm not acknowledging it in any way. It's just not. No.
I think it already got canned, but I actually tried to watch a couple episodes and I was like,
It's just I don't like it when they're revamping an old show with the basis of being relative to race or creed. It drives me crazy.
Well, I mean, the weirdest thing about that though is they already kind of basically redid the Wonder Years with an 80s edition with the show called The Goldbergs. So I don't really understand why they felt they needed to do it again. I was like,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have my own personal theory as to why everything's being rebooted or remade. And that's because they painted themselves into a woke corner.
Well,
They can't do anything original because it's not woke. So everything must be woke. But everything woke that they do ends up in the trash heap, doesn't make any money. So what's left? Reboots.
I mean, maybe to a point. I mean, but the thing that kind of weirded me out, because I actually watched the Goldbergs for probably, I didn't watch it from the beginning, but I watched it for maybe about a half a season because it was kind of the time frame when I was looking for things to make me laugh. And it was weird because it so much reminded me of the Wonder Years. I mean, it was replete with the voiceovers and everything. So I was just like, that's exactly what this feels like. But I have my own theory as to why they're just basically rehashing everything over and over and over and over. I think AI replaced a lot of the writers a long time ago.
Well, that's not outside the realm of possibility. There was a time not long ago that I would have actually made fun of you for thinking that, and now I don't make fun of you for thinking that.
I mean, because, the other thing is, I mean, if you've ever studied any type of creative writing at all or had a decent English teacher, then you know that really there are only about 7 major story types. So the problem is eventually, no matter how many times you rehash the same story, you're going to find commonalities. I mean, it's just like if you look at the difference between Star Wars and Harry Potter. Harry Potter is basically Star Wars with crappier lightsabers.
Yes, this is true.
I mean, but it's because it's the hero arc story. I mean, that's been around for forever, the hero's journey. So there's only so many places you can go with it. But it goes back to, episode 7 of Star Wars, which people were waiting for 40 years, is basically a rehash of episode 4 with a female heroine. I mean, it's like desert planet, same outfit, but a chick. And this time it's like some sort of intergalactic Death Star. Instead of it has to be in the planet, it can hit the planet that it wants to kill from everywhere. And I was like, we've done this. But that was kind of the first thing when I was just like, are people actually really writing anything anymore? Or are they just spitting shit into a computer and the computer's coming out with it and they're like, we'll see if we can make this work because it saves us money. I don't know.
It was the first time I ever thought of AI was actually in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Remember the computer? It will tell me precisely where I can find the bar of chocolate.
Yeah.
That would be cheating.
Jeff changed it back.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff changed it back. I'm sad now.
Well, hey, he missed the intro. He's gonna have to go back to you're the intro. But anyway. So moving on. Since, like I was saying, our topic for this evening is friendship and the different types of friendship. A lot of people think that friendship is just a non-nebulous concept. And like you pointed out in your meme, was like, the whole 7-year thing. Friendship comes in, there are different rings. I like to call them rings because they're kind of circles that you have certain friends in, and then there's, it's just concentric. It goes out from you like that. And I found it funny because I started thinking, holy crap, I've been on here since, my account was like 2014, I think, but I didn't start tweeting it 2015 because I honestly, I didn't know how. I had the account, and that was thanks to my co-blogger from Hookers and Booze. So he made the account for me, unbeknownst to me. He just said, well, now you have a Twitter account. And I'm like, what am I going to do with it? It's like, tweet. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And he's like, you've never tweeted? You don't know what a tweeting is? I said, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's had for a year, before I even started to, but, people that I came to know through social media that have been around for several years. And I started thinking, well, who has been in my circle of friends for that amount of time? But I really can't go by amount of time. I have to go by the circle that they're in, because there are people in your life that you keep in an outside circle that you've had for many, many years too. So, I couldn't measure it the way for the 7 years like you did, but it's a good guideline. The 7 years is a really good guideline, because if they're still around after 7 years, and I'm not talking about a work type of friendship,
Yeah.
but they do have the chance to become closer and closer and closer and closer. So I understand that 7 years. That does make sense, But it was funny to me because, I'm just looking at it going, there are some people here who have less than 7 years, but they're very close with me, like Courtney, and Freedom Recon, and of course Velvet, who I don't think has any plans on coming back to Twitter, but I formed a very deep friendship with those three ladies, but they have not been in my circle for 7 years. And I'm starting to think, I think two of them have, but not Courtney. So it kind of, the 7 years does kind of fit, with them. And I'm sure that you have the same experience too with the whole 7 year thing.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that you basically just said friendships are the actual rings of power, since Jeff's listening right now.
Oh, no. No. Not the rings of power. God, that's such trashy things. But anyway. But, I view friendship in, like I said, like concentric circles.
Yeah.
And I tend to describe them, differently. And, I have four circles, and the widest being your acquaintance circle. It's like, the Twitter circle.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But the widest being the acquaintances, that it's a more shallow type of friendship. It's very superficial, but the friendship is still there. And, it's mostly, light interactions, social media, somebody that I know from social media that would probably be acquaintance level is Manderscat. I think that's his handle. And he and I greet each other every morning over with coffee, and he always has, I will post my meme and he always has a matching meme to whatever I post. It's hilarious. But he is a good example of what I consider an acquaintance friendship. Somebody that I interact with daily, but it's not a deep interaction. I know he's married. I know he has a cat, and that's pretty much all I know about his personal life, So, these are, say you're in jail, these would be like wishing you the best, and they would let other people on social media know that you're inconvenienced in jail right now. That's how I view the acquaintance level of a friendship. So, for me, these are I don't want to say throwaway interactions, but they kind of are, but it's an acknowledgement that, hey, you did brighten my day, that kind of thing. And so, even though it's a very loose interaction, it's a very far circle from your center, that circle still exists because it's something that, a lot of people use for networking. It's a very low pressure type of socialization. So a lot of people who tend to be introverted prefer this kind of social interaction. And this is the kind of friendships that they try to foster because those are the ones they can handle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess for me, I don't really have that many of like the superficial interactions, I guess. Not that, I mean, I guess I do. There's probably a couple that I can think of. But for me, I don't really, I mean, other than the radio crew and the people that I, interact with in real life, I don't even really consider myself having very many friends anymore because my circle has gotten extremely small since the ex left. And I kind of keep it that way on purpose now. But it's like I was telling Zelda, and I think I may have mentioned it on this show. I have a friend, I mean, we've stayed friends over the years, but we met in kindergarten. and then life took her one way and took me another, and then we reconnected over social media, and we've stayed friends ever since. So she was one of the ones that kind of, I guess, was a really close friend for a time, and then kind of became one of that outer circle, even though we do stay in touch. So, but she's also been in my life for a very, very long time. I mean, hell, I've known her since I was 5. So
Those are interesting. Those are what I call lifelong. A lifelong friend is somebody that has a history with you, but they're not necessarily close to you. You know what I mean? They've been there throughout your life, in and out, coming, you've known them for many, many years, usually from, elementary school, that kind of thing. And they have been in your life, floating in and floating out. It is somebody that, you're bonded with due to a mutual history. And the lifelong friend, actually, a lot of people confuse for someone who is very close to them, but they don't have to be. A lifelong friend is just somebody that you share a mutual history with, who also share, because of that history, they can commiserate with you about certain things that most other people cannot, that kind of thing. So yeah, I totally get that. I have a few of those too. The ones from my kindergarten years, I do not speak to on purpose because he broke my cousin's heart. And by God, if I ever catch him, I will skin him. But that's another story. So moving on. I did have one here from 5th grade. And sadly, she passed away about 10 years ago. But, I count my best friend from college. She floats between that whole lifelong and close friend. It's that doesn't have a solid circle. It's a kind of a nebulous circle. It floats in between other circles. So, they, and the thing is, they probably wouldn't know that you're in jail, but once you got out of jail, they found out about it. They would treat you to lunch so you could spill the tea about jail. That's the lifelong friend. They'd like, oh, please, I need to know what happened, that kind of thing. So they wouldn't necessarily know that you were in jail, but once they found out that you had been in jail, they'd want to know, they'd want to catch up. They would treat you that kind of thing. So that's a lifelong friend. And so, yeah, we have a few of those. And yes, they tend to float between other circles, depending on the level of history and the closeness that you kept with them throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, that's kind of the weirdest thing about those long time friends, because they do kind of, depending on, because there are times when your orbits will intersect again. Like when I got divorced, there was a friend of mine that I reconnected with who I met when I lived in Seattle. And we talked for months and months and months and months. And then one day it just got to the point where we didn't really need to talk anymore. We still talk maybe once every 2 or 3 months, just, hey, how you doing? Those kind of things. But it's just weird because it's like you'll have friends that you've had in your life for forever. And the funny thing is, it's not really that they're gone from your life when you're not communicating with them, because once you do start communicating again, it's like you pick up right where you left off, and it feels like it's been 5 minutes instead of 5 years. But that's kind of how it was with her, because I had known her since I was in 8th grade, and then when I started going through my divorce, she was kind of having a rough time, so we were talking to each other almost every day for about 6 months, and then she figured things out, and I figured things out, and now we're back to, hey, how you doing? Happy birthday. But for like 6 months, we were talking all the time. It's just weird how positions can change with the friends that you've had for forever, but it doesn't really impact the friendship, because with a newer friendship, if that kind of thing happens, eventually you just kind of drift apart and you don't really talk at all anymore. An older friendship, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. That's why that lifelong friend circle tends to be more not as solid, and they do tend to jump into the whole close, acquaintance. They float. The lifelong friend will float on different levels of friendship, and it's okay, because that lifelong friend you'll need for certain things, but not for others. just as they will need you for certain things and not for others. So it's funny. I had a friend, someone I considered a very close friend, somebody I considered like same brain type of friend.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that we were very close, and we ended up having, and we no longer speak often or anything like that. Life took this person in a different direction and took me in a different direction, that kind of thing. But for a time, this was a person that I always talked to. This was a person, their problems, my problems, whatever. So they made a transition from one circle to that another circle. And I don't want to say that they're a lifelong friend, because I think I've maybe 5 years that we knew each other, maybe 6. But it's the same thing, and I'll always be there for whoever's in whatever circle, regardless what you ever need me for. I'm pretty much like an anchorite when it comes to that kind of shit. And for those of you who are not familiar with an anchorite, just go to Wikipedia. I'm sure they have a definition. But my parents have always said that about me. My sisters have said that about me. I've had friends that have said that about me. My husband says that about me. So I'm detecting a pattern. But it's somebody who gives without any expectation. They devote their lives to giving. And so, sometimes that is a miscue. And that was a miscue for me. But you have your lifelong friends that are, floating in and out of your life, and I want to make sure that you understand, just because they're a lifelong friend doesn't make them a close friend. They can be close for the month you need them, and after the whatever issue is resolved, they'll go back to their, hey, how you doing? Christmas card and birthday card type of thing, like you and your friend from kindergarten.
Yeah.
So it for me, everybody says, oh, they're a lifelong friend. They'll be there for you for everything, and throughout everything. And I'm like, yes and no. There's a difference between the lifelong friend and the close friend. And like I was saying, the acquaintance, they'll let people know that you can't reply to any tweets or social media because you're in jail. But then you have your casual friend. And those are, the people that you forge, friendships with because you have certain commonalities, like your work or gaming or working out at the gym, book clubs, that kind of thing. You have common interests with these people. So you have, that's more than an acquaintance, but not quite close, and they will post your bail though.
Yeah.
Those are the people that will post your bail because they do see you as being a friend. They have lots of things in common with you. And they feel that if something were to happen to them, you would be there for them too. And you wouldn't, you wouldn't fail them. But they don't expect you, they don't dump on you. They don't give you all of their, worries and hurts and all that stuff, expecting you to, help solve the problems or anything. But they will be there for you to a certain extent. So they would post the bail. But that differentiates them from the closest friends. Those are the epitome of all your friends, the closest ones. And those you are very intimate with. You're extremely honest with them. You will judge them. You will call them out on things. But you will be there for them all the time. And that's the difference between a close and a lifelong friend. The lifelong friend will never judge you because they're not in your life all the time. So they cannot judge you when you've done something. But the close friend, all the judging. Trust me. all the judging.
Yeah.
But they judge you for your own sake. They tell you where you went wrong. You will have falling outs with these people, but they're mended. The fallings out, all of these fallings out will be mended. You will see from their point of view where you went wrong, and you can tell them where they went wrong. This is a close friendship is extremely, extremely bonded. They're the ones, as Andrew said, that would sit next to you in jail. Those are the people that you are close to. The ones that you can picture in jail with you, those are your close friends. The ones that would not go commit whatever hijinks you did to end up in jail, but will post your bail, those are your casual friends. The ones that will let other people know that you're in jail, so, just give you some time, those are your acquaintances. And then the ones that will hear all about it and treat you and just let you unburden yourself without judgment, those are your lifelong friends. That's how I view my friendships. Like, who's going to be sitting in jail with me? That circle's usually very small.
Yeah.
Very small. As a matter of fact, maybe 3 people. And I'll be honest, none of them are related to me. Because I'm pretty sure my sisters would let me rot in jail. You deserve it.
Serves you right, pendeja.
Yes, they would judge me and tell me I deserved it, And that is the difference between family and close friend. A close friend would be with you. They would judge you and do all that stuff. But family, not necessarily. Family will tell you where you went wrong and tell you were boneheaded and no, I'm not doing that with you. And then just, and tell you, not to do it or whatever. Whereas the close friend would actually support you and, okay, this might get us in trouble, but I see your logic, so let's do this. You're going to need support, that kind of thing. And, it's a very fine line. Some close friends, you actually feel their family. And some family, you really feel more like they're your casual friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's a meme that goes around all the time, and I happen to believe in this 1,000%. Blood does not make you family.
Correct.
Because there are people that I do consider my family that are not my blood, and there are people that are my blood that I don't really consider my family. And I mean, I'm not going to air a bunch of dirty laundry, but my mom and I haven't spoken in almost 12 years. Because she picked a fight with my now ex-wife, and I chose my now ex-wife over her, and we haven't spoken in 12 years because I'm like, you're not gonna trash talk my wife.
That's it's tragic when that happens, when there's a falling out between your parent and your spouse. But I always adhere to the Bible and Genesis, where it tells us you will leave your parents and cleave onto your spouse. And I have to support my spouse. That was my choice.
Yeah, well,
my parents were not my choice. I was their choice. They chose to have me, but I was, I didn't have a choice in my parents, but I did have a choice in my spouse. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, well, my mom didn't like my answer because my mom is not a Christian, but she likes to throw the Bible around. So she was like, "What happened to obey your father and your mother?" That is a verse for a child. I am now an adult. I have married. The Bible also says that a man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. And you are now trashing my wife. And if you want to do that, you will do that alone. Because the verse of obey your father and mother doesn't apply once you're married.
Correct.
So she wasn't happy about that, but
it's a tricky road when that happens. It's like, what do I do? Especially in a Hispanic household. Ooh, boy.
Chanclas and machetes and cursing. Oh, my.
I cannot tell you. There was this one time that my mom got mad at me, and she is berating me, and I'm just taking it because I am not speaking back to my mom, because I know what would happen to me if I spoke back to my mother. And I was already married at the time. And, of course, my husband stood up for me. And my mom just railed on him and says, "You're always going to stand up for her." And he looked at her and says, "Yes, that's my job. She's my wife." And believe it or not, that calmed down my mother, which was honestly a miracle in and of itself to witness. But, it's very tricky when it happens between a parent and their spouse, and you're like, trying to juggle. And sometimes when you try to juggle them and try not to pick sides and try to be neutral or whatever, it seriously backfires, because not only is your parent upset, but your spouse is upset. And so you might as well just stay in the doghouse. I witnessed that with my sister's husband.
If anybody,
it's not pretty.
If anybody needs me, I'll be in the doghouse.
Yeah, pretty much. But talking about friendship, Zelda also mentioned, I think I saw a tweet of hers that she had been friends with you for like 5 years, and and that made me think, it's like, yeah, we do that gradual, we move from one outer circle into the next circle, that kind of thing. And as we move further into the next circle, the work that goes into the friendship also goes up. And a lot of people think, well, friendships are organic. You don't have to work at them. Yeah, you do. You actually have to work at your relationships, because for the same reason, when you get married, everybody says, marriage is 50-50. No, it's not. It is not 50-50. You give in 90 and you don't even expect back 10%. When you go into a marriage, you go in with the knowledge that you will be giving to your spouse more than you expect to get back. And that's true for friendships. You actually do go into a friendship expecting to give more than what you're going to get back in return, because that's what friendship is. Friendship is a type of love. And when you are friends with somebody, that is a level of love that you are experiencing, that you are actually witnessing. So you do give more than what you expect to get out of the relationship. So you have to ask yourself, when I'm in this relationship, does it excite me, or does it stress me out? Does it, do I go in, does it make me happy, or does it depress me? You have to ask these things in order to see where you are in that relationship. Because love isn't the only, the actual spousal type of love or everything. That's not the only relationship that requires work and that requires you to actually, put forth effort. In a friendship, you actually are expected to put effort. And I see these little quips from people saying, the best type of friendship is the kind that, is, blooms and is organic, and, it's between two people and it's non-expressive and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know who your friend is, but that's not the way it works in real life at all. I mean, I have friends, and I do. I reach out. I make sure they're okay. I ask them, about how their week is going. You actually have to put in effort. If you don't put in the effort, that friend may think that they're really out as an acquaintance, or they're not valued as a friend anymore, and that friendship will suffer.
Well, so that's one of the things. So a couple different points here. I'm going to go backwards because now this is the one that's in the front of my brain. But as far as the whole, damn it, hang on, the chat confused me. I lost my train of thought. I hate it when that happens. Anyway, but I don't know. I had a thought. I promise I did. Now I can't find it. I don't know what happened. started trying to read the chat and I lost my train of thought. But anyway, damn it, what was it? It was something along the lines of what you were just talking about, and I completely lost it. I don't have it. It's just like there's like a giant file. There's like a giant error 404 flashing in my brain right now. File not found. File not found. Where did it go? Oh, but
okay. It'll come back
eventually, maybe.
It's funny because I always tell my husband, I leave him those, the original PDA was not a Palm Pilot and it was not a BlackBerry. It was a small memo pad and a pencil. So I leave those all over the house. And I tell him, if there's something you want to talk about later or you want to remind me of something, just jot it down. Do you think he jots anything down? Of course not. But I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the thing, you know. Not that it was part of the topic, but I have noticed because I never used to be somebody that had to make a list. Because I have always had a really good memory. I have noticed as I've gotten older, it's still a good memory, but it's not as good as it used to be. Like I was in Walmart the other day grabbing a few things, and I had to go back in twice because I kept forgetting little things. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to start making lists. Apparently, I'm gonna have to start making show prep lists again because.
I do show prep lists mostly for Cocktail Lounge and obviously for Spirited Books. I think I only do the cocktail for toxic masculinity, and this one is just like, oh, friendship, okay. We'll just
riff it.
But I did make a list for this one, obviously, because it made me think.
But no, so I guess one of the, for me, one of the interesting things is how social media has led to a lot of my friendships. Like, I remember, and Lou and I were talking about that today, because when I put that out, she's like, well, oh my God, how long have I been in your life if it takes 7 years? Like, you've been in my life 9 years this month. And she's like, I remember. But because it made me think of it when she popped into my feed, and this was, this month in 2015 was the first time that I ever did a political convention of any kind, and I was really, really excited. And the best part about it was G actually made the trip up from Alabama, but I spent one of the breaks, because I couldn't find anywhere to be on the phone with them, in a bathroom stall talking to JD, Stacy, and Lou, trying to get everything transitioned from War to K98 for their shows.
That's great. But yeah, you're right. Social media has actually been, I gripe a lot about social media, but in this case, in the case of fostering friendships, social media has been a godsend. It really has been. I have met so many great people through it, and it has opened up an entire world and I'm not just talking about my friends here in the U.S. I've made friends in Singapore and France and Great Britain, and of course all my German friends from when I lived there. And so like, it's funny, the other night I had insomnia, right? I wasn't on American Twitter. I was looking up all my German friends because I knew they were awake. So I was like following their stories, and everything, and I DM'd with a couple, and they were like, what the hell are you doing up at this hour? I was like, I can't sleep. And my girlfriend was like, you need to try some, and she mentioned something, I don't know, some kind of, and I said, yeah, that's not going to work. Never does. I think it was melatonin or something. And, so I go look at what the other side of the world is doing or whatever. And it has been really nice to find friends, that not necessarily think like me either. A lot of them are more socialist, some are very liberal, some are very independent, almost bordering on anarchist, So in that sense, social media has been really cool. And like I said, especially for introverted people, social media has been awesome because they have fostered friendships where they don't have to leave the house, and they don't even have to respond to a message from a friend until they're comfortable enough to respond, No,
well, I mean, it's funny because when I first started doing this, I was more of an introvert. And the funny thing is, because I have changed jobs several times, but in the same field, each time I changed companies, they made me take one of those stupid personality tests. So when I first went to work for Convergys, they made me take one of the tests, and it basically said I was a full-on introvert. Then I went to work for Southwest Airlines, and I was in the middle column, still leaning more towards introvert, but I had become what they call an introverted extrovert. Then I had to take the same test for OU several times. So in the beginning, it was more along the same lines of where I was at Convergys. But the last time I took the test, which was about 2 years ago, it had shifted to the point where I was considered an extroverted introvert. Because there were still times that I liked to be alone and didn't want people bothering me, but I had become really, really outgoing and stuff. And it's just weird for me seeing the difference. And again, speaking of JD and Stacy, one of the first times I ever, well, actually the only time I guess I ever really met JD in person was at CPAC. And I've told this story before, but after the first day, actually I think it may have been the second day. The second day of us doing everything, we went to a bar afterwards and we're just hanging out, talking and trying to get something to eat. And everybody else is just shooting the shit. And I'm just looking at it because I'm a people watcher. I'm just watching everything. JD finally looks at me like after 20 minutes. Motherfucker, do you speak if there's not a microphone in front of you? Not really. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's a JD-ism.
Oh. I don't know. I think he's part of what helped me finish coming the rest of the way out of my shell. Because he's just such an outgoing, well, he was such an outgoing and boisterous person. I've noticed he's kind of toned things down over the last couple of years, but I think that's because, from what I hear, he's had a lot going on. But that was part of what kind of, and the funny thing is, the more I came out of my shell, the less my ex liked it.
That has been something that I have witnessed with certain friends with social media. And I think because there's a certain blossoming aspect with social media and friendships. You start coming out of your shell more. You start developing a personality that your spouse or significant other may not understand or may not like simply because it's not familiar to them. And I know it happened with my sister. It was her fault that I got on the Book of Faces. So she had her account way before I did. And she used to complain about me posting. I used to post like one status a day.
Yeah.
Right. And that was it. And she thought that was too much. But, she would see that I would post on that status and I would have like 20 people replying to that status. But these were people that I had met through my blogging. I was an active blogger at Hookers and Booze. And then I decided to blog on my own at a different place. And then they invited me to co-blog at another a very popular site. I was known at Ace of Spades. I was known at several big blog sites. And so these were people from those sites, and I had friended them. And so they would reply. So she would see all those replies. So she started, seeking out more friends, and everything. And my sister was not afraid to put her face forward because she is very pretty. So, she would, started liking that attention and everything. And soon enough, she started being on her phone on Facebook all the time. And her husband did not like it because she kind of started being a little different. And there is a possibility where this personality change, for you, it was on the positive side. For my sister, it was on the negative side. My sister started becoming more self-aware of, how she looked. And, she started posting more pictures of herself because she would get more attention that way. And, she started shopping for prettier clothes. She started putting on makeup, that kind of thing. And when her husband asked her about it, she was very defensive. And instead of saying, I like the way I feel. I get compliments about it. So I wanted to make a positive change. I wanted to feel better about myself. So I started to, take care of the way I looked or whatever. Instead of saying something like that, which was completely true, she instead accused him of, wanting her to stay dowdy and wanting her to stay, hiding away from the world. And they had a big falling out over this. And it took them, a few weeks to get over it, and my intervention as well. And so it can go in a positive direction, like we all witnessed it with you, where you became more gregarious and you became more outgoing, and you actually, you fostered friendships. And my guess for your ex-wife, she didn't like it because you became somebody that other people liked. And she had kept you as being hers for a very long time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
so,
yeah.
Like I said, social media was a good thing especially for introverted people, for people who feel awkward in face-to-face situations with other people. So in that respect, I really think social media was really good to foster a really good tool to foster friendships. But there's also that other side of the coin,
Yeah, no, I mean, and I agree. I mean, the thing that drives me nuts, and this is with everything, there are positives and negatives to everything in life. It doesn't matter how good something is for you. If you do too much of it, eventually it's going to have bad side effects. Hence, or case in point, we all need water to live. But if you drink too much water, you can literally drown from the inside out. Correct. So it's just like everything else. There has to be moderation. I mean, I know those of us that use social media to make a living or use online presence to make a living have to spend a lot of time on it, especially now that a lot of the platforms allow monetization. The more time you spend on it, the more extra streams of income you can get to. I mean, hell, I just saw a friend of mine that made like $2,300 off of Twitter today, and I'm like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, I toyed with the idea, and then I said, no, I really don't want to do that. That requires work. I'd rather work on my friendships and not work on Twitter. So,
well, I mean, for me, a lot of my friendships have fostered through Twitter, so it doesn't really bother me to spend that much time on it. What bothers me is, since I have been focused more on trying to monetize it, I haven't been enjoying it as much. So I've just decided that I'm just gonna, if it gets there, great. If not, but I will say the one thing that I figured out, especially if you're just trying to get to the point where you qualify for the monetization, just go into bigger accounts and drop random smartass replies.
Yeah, that would work. That would work really well.
Because that's how everybody else that I know that's monetized has managed to do it. That has smaller accounts.
Being a contrarian is how you get monetized. I've noticed that. Engagement farming. Yeah. And that's how people do it. They do the engagement farming by saying something that goes contrary to the whole theme of the thread.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that I really want to do that much of it. It's just, it's just yet again another stream of income. Like right now, I'm working on getting a store finally put together for the station, because we've been talking about doing it for as long as I've had the station, and every time I get close, I'm like, maybe next year. Yeah, I'm done with maybe next year. That's just like, my girlfriend is mad at me because I accidentally scheduled a business lunch on my birthday. She's like, you're working on your birthday? I was like, well, honestly, when they asked me if I could go, I didn't realize it was my birthday. I'm 51 tomorrow. I don't count birthdays anymore. Shit, I'm old. And then what's even worse is that my aunt got mad at me because she's like, well, I was going to try to take you to lunch tomorrow. And I'm like, can we do lunch on Sunday? Because I'm the idiot who scheduled a business lunch on my birthday before I realized it was my birthday. She's like, fine.
Oopsie.
Hey, I close the show like this all the time. My name is Rick. I'm a workaholic. My last meeting was forever ago. Do you guys think I'm making this shit up?
Nope. It is true. You are a workaholic. But anyway. But yeah, so
I'm feeling judged over here.
Huh?
Kind of feeling a little judged over here.
Well, I'm not a lifelong friend. I will judge you.
Touche, ma'am. Touche.
Yeah, I'm curtsying right now. So, but anyway,
don't do that. I can't see you over the desk.
I'm not that short. Okay, I may be a little short. I'm very short. Okay, but moving on.
Pretty sure my girlfriend is shorter. Just saying.
Huh?
Pretty sure my girlfriend is shorter. Just saying.
Listen, you be nice.
I am being nice. This is me being nice.
Okay, whatever. Like I said, I'm not your lifelong friend. I will judge the shit out of you. The person that's sitting with you in jail, that close friend, that epitome of friendship, they will judge you too and tell you where you went wrong because that's why you landed in jail. So don't ever forget that. Oh, sure. Yeah, they'll sit right next to you, but will call you out for getting caught. Seriously.
Yeah. I can imagine that conversation. I can't believe you got caught. You're here with me, fucker. You got caught too.
But like it was your idea to do this. Your close friend will go with you out of support. Y'all get caught. You go to jail, and he or she will turn to you and say, you were stupid. I'm with you, but you were stupid.
Oh, so. Yeah, no, 4'11" is short. Just saying.
I managed to. I'm above 5 feet, 5'2". Of course, when I first got my driver's license when I was 18, I was 5'3". I have been crying about that for years. But anyway.
Yeah. Gravity sucks because eventually as you get older, gravity takes some of your height back.
Anyway. So, yeah. That's pretty much my view of friendship, And like I said, there will be some times where a member of one circle will move into another due to, say, for example, your casual friends with someone at work. You retire, but they don't. You decide to move to another town or another state, or hell, even another country. That friendship is no longer casual. It becomes an acquaintance type of relationship whereby for a while you do touch base, you see how things are going and everything. I had one, it was weird because I can actually recall one that was would qualify for all four. And that was a really good friend of mine from college. We had been friends for about 4 years. So I would guess we were casual moving into the close relationship, was helping him about it, his girlfriend, he would, help me with the boyfriend bit, that kind of thing. We were just friends.
Yeah.
And for a while we were lifelong friends. We had moved into that when he graduated. And then when I graduated and he had moved to Colorado and I moved back down here, but we were still, lifelong friends, and we would call up each other and, talk about and catch up and everything. And then from there, it kind of it was no longer close, but then it shifted into this casual thing whereby, we still had some stuff in common. So we called each other for that kind of thing. And then he became an acquaintance. And after that, I completely lost touch with him. So there are some instances where there will be one person, one or two, or maybe 3, 4, I don't know. There'll be some people in your life that will move through all 4 circles. It's the order in which they move through circles that determines long they, stay in your life and how they affect your life, to that, to that level. I had one, like I said, I had one that I thought very close, not even an acquaintance now. So, and it happened within the space of a year. So it's, sometimes things just change. I mean, obligations change, distance, like I said, work, or, even, deciding to, get in the dating pool with somebody again, and, they just don't have the time to devote to a friendship, that kind of thing. Marriage, having children, once they have children, oh my gosh. I did not hear from my best friend in college for 5 years. After she had children, I was like complete silence. I didn't even know where she was. And I mean, seriously, I didn't know at all. And I knew I still had her parents' address. And so I wrote, this was well before the internet, people. So I wrote, to them, and, her mom sent me a card back. Oh, this is her new address, and, she and her husband are doing great. Their kids are growing like weeds, blah, 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 blah. And she sent me 2 pictures, 2 photographs and everything. And so I was able to get back in touch with her. And she was like, I am so sorry. I lost your address. And of course I had moved twice in that time frame. Thank you, Army. And so she had no idea, and she didn't have my parents' address. But I had her parents' address because I had gone up there to visit before. So, I still had the address. And so we got back in touch that way. But there were, years in between where we were like, and it was we did the whole birthday card and we did the whole Christmas card thing. But it wasn't until our kids were grown and she started getting her life back and I started getting my life back that we finally being able to connect again. So, sometimes a close friend will slip out simply because of certain life obligations. I had a very dear friend, and we used to talk all the time. And unfortunately, she had to go take care of her parents. And she was an American citizen, but her parents were expats. So she was basically flying from here to Spain, like every 3 months. And she finally said, I just have to move to Spain to take care of my parents. And so because of that, I seldom chat with her anymore. I seldom, we'll write emails, that kind of thing. But life obligations will throw curveballs, and unfortunately, your friendships might suffer because of that. And suffer is a rough term. Most people will make allowances for something like that. If you have a friend that does not make an allowance for that, they're not your friend. That's why always ask yourself, am I stressed in this relationship? Whenever I'm with them, do I feel completely drained or do I feel uplifted? Do I feel like I contribute without any gain? And even though I did say you should be expecting to contribute more than you expect back, you should get something back out of a friendship that's solid. I mean, that's just logical sense. But if you're not, then you have to reassess whether or not that relationship that you've been fostering, thinking that it was in this circle, maybe in a different circle. And then once you do a reassessment, then you can step back and deal with that person from that perspective circle.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I will say as somebody, because I don't have very many people that I consider friends outside of, radio crew, etc. One thing that I've had to learn, especially after being with somebody for so long and actually severing a lot of my friendships just to try to keep her happy. As I've reconnected with friends, things have changed in a lot of ways. And the one thing that I've had to start paying attention to is, am I putting all of my energy into somebody that is not giving anything at all back? And that is something that I've literally had people that I've just stopped talking to because everything is, well, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I'm always the one that says yes. Until the first time that I say, hey, can you help me with this? And they're like, oh, I'm busy. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to friendship is a form of love. There's a book I recommend to everybody. It's by C.S. Lewis. It's called The Four Loves. It's one of my favorite books, and it explains the four different types of love, which are affection, friendship, erotic, and charity. And friendship being one of the cornerstones of love it's something that you do have to put an effort to. It doesn't, everybody thinks that any kind of love will just happen organically. And I was really guilty of that because I used to read Harlequins all the freaking time. Okay. But there's a reason why Wuthering Heights is my favorite love story, because it ends tragically. That's realism. That's life. Okay. These were two people that were so consumed by their love that their love turned to absolute hatred, but they couldn't do without each other. They ended up dead. Okay. So I love that book.
Well, the good news is you saying what you said about love reminded me of a couple different things that I was trying to remember earlier. So that is one of the shortcomings for me for the English language, is because in almost every other language, there are different terms to describe love depending on the type of love that you're talking about. So, we have words like that, like you just said, affection, romantic, things like that. But they're especially in Greek, there are 16, I think they have 16, 17 different words for love.
Yes.
Because there are just so many different kinds. And
Yes.
it's one of the shortcomings for me for the English language, is that we put all of these different types of love are labeled in one word. And I think that's another thing that causes confusion for people, because you can literally say "I love you" to somebody, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, he's in love with me." No, that's not what I said. I said I love you. There's a big difference. I can love you and also not be in love with you, because there are different types of love. But I think that's one of the things that causes a lot of confusion. Another thing that causes a lot of confusion, especially in this day and age, is all these people that have figured out, if I put out stupid videos that are supposed to be relationship advice and people watch them, I'm going to get paid for it. So all these people are like, real friendships shouldn't require work. Real relationships shouldn't require work. Look, I'm not going to lie. Relationships and friendships should have an easy feel to them. There should be a give and take. But it's just like everything else. It requires effort. And this whole idea that we have that we're going to meet this perfect person and everything's going to fall into place, whether it's a best friend, girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, and it's just going to be happily ever after, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. That's one of the things that pisses me off about fairy tales. There is no happily ever after. They should have kept going and showed you all the times that Prince Charming was fighting with because it's just, at some point, the honeymoon phase is going to be over. You're going to fight about things, and you're going to have to figure things out. The difference is, and the reason it works so much better with friends than it does with romantic partners, is because with friends, you're able to separate yourself more. And for some reason, when we become romantically involved with people, we kind of stop being able to do that.
This is true.
Because
this is true.
Every time they're talking about something or venting about something, in our heads we're making it about us, when in reality it may not have anything to do with us. And this is one of the things that I explained to all of my children before I married them off. The ones that have been married anyway. That at the end of the day, once you have made those vows, it's supposed to be you against your problems with each other. not you fighting about the problems with each other.
Correct. It's a united front.
And it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not going to work.
Yep.
But
I totally get that.
But yeah, it's just this whole idea that, real relationships don't require work. That sounds really cute on paper. It really does. And, friendships don't necessarily require as much work as a romantic relationship, but you still have to put in effort. I mean, because it took work for these people to stay in your life for long enough for you to basically be able to reconnect with them and pick up where you left off. Otherwise, you probably still wouldn't be talking to them. But one of you still has to take the time to reach out from time to time, or eventually you're never going to talk again.
This is true. I view it as a bridge, and as we have seen with this administration, bridges are something of an issue right now with our infrastructure. But I see friendship as a bridge, and it has a bridge over, that connects two pieces. And so one entity is responsible for one side, the other entity is responsible for the other side. And together you build that bridge, and you have to upkeep that bridge, And there are people, I have a rule, okay? And this goes for everybody. And all you have to do is send me a message. But I have an 8-minute rule. And I heard it somewhere, thanks to social media, by the way. But basically, somebody said that most people, when they have an issue, all they need is for you to give them 8 minutes. That's all they need. And within those 8 minutes, they're able to talk about the issue, tell you their conflicts, tell you their hurts, their angers, whatever it is that they need from you. And if you just devote 8 minutes of your time to that person, it will alleviate about 90% of that stress. And you're able to talk to that person for those 8 minutes, help them through whatever it is that they're having the issue with. And I have told this to, my sisters know this, and they will ask me, do you have 8 minutes? And that's how I know that they need my undivided attention for at least 8 minutes, because they need to talk about something. And the text is not going to cut it. An email is not going to cut it. A phone call. If you cannot be there, you have to be able to listen to them, because only when you're speaking to somebody can you catch the nuances of the spoken word. You don't, you're not going to catch this. If there's sarcasm involved, you're not going to catch that in writing. So,
once you get to know somebody well enough, you can.
That sarcasm font. Somebody needs to come up with a sarcasm font. But I tell this to everybody. If you need me, it doesn't matter what time of day or night. If I'm asleep, my phone is usually with me, and most people will actually ping me or send a message. I've had my sister's currently living in Germany, and she actually sent me a message at 3:00 in the morning my time, because she needed me. She needed me to hear what she had to say. And I didn't even do anything, but she needed me for those 8 minutes. She just wanted to vent for those 8 minutes. She didn't have anybody else. And so she called me. And so I let her vent for 8 minutes. And then she said, I just wanted somebody to hear. And it is amazing to me how often just listening to somebody will actually help that person.
I mean, that's one of the hallmarks of part of what I do, is just learning to listen and give. But anyway,
but you're an ordained minister.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It kind of goes with the job.
that's one of the territories, though. So I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. By the way, there is actually a sarcasm font of sorts. I was unaware of this, but apparently the upside down smiley face is to denote sarcasm. So you can just put.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, you can just put those around whatever you're trying to say, and people will know you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, but okay. That's just an emoji. I want the actual font.
Well, no, I know. I'm just thinking until somebody actually invents one.
It's got to look like Comic Sans, but actually make sense.
I mean, I was just thinking until somebody actually invents one, because I was saying something to Zelda via text the other night, and I used that emoji, and she's like, "Are you being sarcastic with me?" I was like, "No, is that what that actually means?" So I looked it up, and yeah, it's apparently to denote confusion or sarcasm.
No, Zelda, I did not know, because I'm not a 24-year-old young woman who speaks in emoji, okay? I'm old.
She's 25.
Whatever.
About to be 26.
I'm 57.
Hey, there's a steak sauce. There's a steak sauce named after you.
Email.
There's a steak sauce named after your age. Just saying.
Yes, there is.
That was like my dad's favorite steak sauce growing up.
I use it. Instead of using ketchup, I use that when I make meatloaf. It's a lot better.
What do you say? Y'all didn't know that? You knew I didn't know that. We talk about it the other night, nerd. Anyway.
No, I wish, Andrew. No, actually, I don't wish I were 28. I was 150 pounds. I was 149 and a half pounds. I was pregnant at the time.
Yeah, everybody, and it shows up on social media all the time. A lot of people in my family always ask the question: if you could go back to one age and would consider it your perfect age, what would you pick? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, fuck no.
I don't know.
No, I would not go back. I'd like me. I like this. I earned my way here. And if I went back with all the knowledge that I have here, I would not end up here. I would not end up happy. I'm positive of that. And so, I never play those games, because I really have no interest in going back. I couldn't.
Well, I mean, and the funny thing is, and I know this wasn't something that we planned on talking about, but this has actually come up for me a lot lately, because it's just one of those things where I'll be talking to somebody and they'll be like, well, if this hadn't happened, then maybe this would have happened. And if this hadn't happened, then maybe this would have happened. And I'm like, you have to understand that everything that has happened in your life has led you to being who you are right now. So one tiny little change, and you're going to be a completely different person. That's why I always laugh anytime anybody's like, I want to invent a time machine and go back and tell myself to buy Apple stock. This
is the butterfly effect.
I hope you like who you are when you come back from doing that, because you probably won't.
It's totally the butterfly effect. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be me. I would be somebody that was not nice. I would not have the patience that I have. I would not have the amiability. I'm positive I would be actually a very bitter person if I went back in time with the knowledge that I have right now.
Well, I mean, it's like conversations that I've been having with Zelda lately. She's always talking about how patient I am and how willing to listen I am and everything else. And I'm like, that's because life has made me that way. One of the things that I used to preach all the time when I did preach is, when you pray to God to give you patience, He doesn't just open up a bucket and start pouring out patience. He puts you in situations where you have to start learning how to be patient.
Yes, He gives you the opportunity to achieve what you're asking for every single time. And, my mom, who is a very saintly woman, and she's very Catholic and everything, for the life of her does not understand why I'm so patient. I'm like, it's supposed to be a virtue, Mom. And she's like, yes, but you take it to an extreme. I'm like, what? I'm like, there's no such thing as taking patience to an extreme. And she says, yes, there is. You need to have fortitude as well as patience. And you need to know when you don't need to be as patient as you are. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, I am happy to report to you that I've never been in a position where I had to curtail my patience. And that is God's honest truth. My mom is extremely surprised at the amount of patience that I have. I have an unlimited amount of patience. I have yet to find the point at which my patience runs out. Seriously. And people are just like dumbfounded that I can be so patient and I can wait. I'm like, I always tell the story about my Christmas gift from my birthday gift from my mom. She sent it to me and it arrived before Halloween. And my birthday's in November. And it wasn't until her birthday in January that she asked me if I liked my birthday gift. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't open it. She was like, what do you mean you didn't open it? It's still on the by the fireplace. I put it there with the express purpose of opening it on my birthday, but I just completely forgot, even though it was there. I mean, seriously, I even dusted it. Christmas came and went. The present was still there. It just became part of the decor. She was like, you haven't opened it. I said, I hope it wasn't food. It was a very lovely sweater. So I could still wear it because, in Texas, we get late winters. So, she was like, I can't believe that you did not open your gift. I said, it wasn't my birthday yet, so I wasn't going to open it. And then it became my birthday and I completely forgot about it. And it was right there. And the same thing happened with a Valentine's Day gift that my husband gave me. He actually acquired it in January. And he said, this is for Valentine's Day. Do you want to open it now? And I said, no, I'll wait until Valentine's Day. Well, unfortunately, that year, Valentine's Day was Ash Wednesday. So, I was observing Ash Wednesday and everything. That box was still on my dresser. And it was fully 3 weeks into Lent that my husband reminded me that box was still waiting. And I was like, oh, that's right. Serious. And it was right there. I saw it every day, but I wasn't in any hurry. I could be patient to wait to open it. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. And it drives my mother crazy. It drives my sisters doubly crazy because none of them are patient for anything.
No, I just think it's funny because, like I said, you have all these people that are like, oh, I would go back and I would do this, and I would go back and I would do this, and I would do this differently. And I'm just like, it's fun to think about, but then when you really stop and think about it, it's like, one of the darkest moments I had during healing from my divorce was thinking that I wanted the 23, almost 24 years that we had spent together back. But then it dawned on me, if I got those back, my son wouldn't be here.
There is that. There are so many joys attached to all of the, all of the bad happenings in your life. There are joys in there too. You can't just cut one without cutting the other. So, I see it in the same way. I have lost certain friendships because of politics, especially what happened in 2016 with Trump becoming president. And I had friends that I considered casual, more than acquaintances, but not close.
Yeah.
That decided to just cut all ties with me because I was not anti-Trump enough. I had some that cut all ties with me because I was not pro-Trump enough. It was both camps, and I was like, I don't understand why politics has to figure out into my friendship circle. I really don't. I'm friends with people who are socialists. I'm friends with people who are anarchists. I can honestly say there are no Marxists in my in any of my circles. Communists have no room in my life. I can honestly say that. But, I have friends that are all religions. I have friends that are all walks of life. I have friends from but for some weird reason, some insist that politics should define your friendships. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I just can't. I would be doing what I accuse others of doing, and that's living in a bubble. I refuse to do that. I just can't. So, I did lose friends, casual friends, because of certain politics that occurred several years ago. And I am sure that I'm going to lose some more this coming election. And that's a time when I step back and I reassess, why were these people friends with me in the first place?
Well, this goes back to something else that I've been talking about off and on for a while. This is a byproduct of how society currently is, because we now view, and this is happening on both sides now, which infuriates me, because it didn't used to be this way on our side, and now it's slowly starting to become that way. You either have to be 100% in or 100% out. There is no in between for anybody anymore. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on anymore. You're either supporting you're either supporting the guy at the top of the ticket, or you're a traitor, or you're against the guy at the top of the ticket if it's the other team, or you're a traitor. And I'm just like, I have always been somebody that tries to stay in the middle. I mean, I know I have friends right now. If a very liberal friend of mine was listening, he would be rolling his eyes with me trying to say that I try to be a centrist. But I really do, because I look for the things that make sense. There used to be parts of the Democratic platform that made sense. There still are parts of the Republican platform that make sense. But the problem is, now that they have us so polarized, all we're doing now is fighting with each other. And they have us doing the fighting for them.
That's right.
And it's just stupid.
It's like the ants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a bug's life.
You have two separate ant colonies. And it's like one political party took a shovel and the other political party took another shovel. They each shoveled, part of that anthill. They walked across each other and dumped them in the others. And now you have all the ants fighting each other in both hills. And the people who actually did the shoveling are stepping back and not getting in the fight, not getting bitten.
And meanwhile, they're slowly but surely, they have been for a long time, stripping everything that made this country great right out from underneath us while we're all fighting with each other. Which is one of the reasons why, at this point, it took me a while, but I'm Team Morty now. I'm completely here for chaos.
Oh, my friend, it's coming. I'm just looking at Chicago right now going, get ready. Yeah. Because that's where it's starting.
Chaos is now my raison d'etre because, it's coming. I don't know. I mean, speaking of Chicago, I don't even know what's going to happen there because they're already talking about protests and counter-protests and counter-protests to the counter-protests. And I'm just like, ugh. I mean, I may be working 24 hours a day for a week or so. I don't know.
We'll see. But anyway, on that note, I will reiterate what I wrote a while back, which gathered me quite a few likes on Twitter for some reason, but a lot of detractors as well. Never, ever let politics dictate your friendships. It's not worth it. So, and with that, I guess we should close out the show since it's already 4 past.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
Yeah, so Rick, where can we find you?
Tomorrow night, Juxtaposition, 11 p.m. Eastern. Sunday night, America Off the Rails, 9 p.m. Eastern. Monday, because it's not really going to be my day off anymore, so I might as well go back to Monday through Friday. Monday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. my time, 3 to 5 Eastern, doing the Rick Robinson Show. Other than that, you'll go over most of the rest of the stuff in a minute. When I'm not doing all of that, you can find me on Twitter at Roderick73 as a contributor to Twitchy.com, a contributor to MisfitsPolitics.com, and the executive producer of the Loftus Party podcast, which usually drops on Tuesdays. And now, where can folks find you that also has me interspersed?
Well, you can find me at Aggie Regan and at Aggie the Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can also find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with the ever suave Brad Slager. Friday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, doing He Said, She Said with our awesome producer, Rick. That would be you. Last Wednesday of every month, 8 p.m. Eastern, doing Toxic Masculinity, where the guys, Rick, Orty, G, and Andrew get together. They host the Babe of the Month, and the Bar Babe brings the drinks. And Jeff and I have teamed together, and we now have a book podcast called Spirited Books, and that will be after June. It'll be on the first Monday of every month, also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But for June, it's going to be the second Monday because I'll be traveling. So anyway, thanks for joining us, and we hope you guys have a lovely evening.
It's not 8:30 p.m. Eastern, though. It's Aggie time.
Aggie time.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Oh, have a great night, folks. Thanks for hanging out.